scope of coverage you won't find anywhere else. This is Weather Scope This Morning, sponsored by 100% Colombian Coffee.
Good morning, everyone, and a happy Valentine's Day to you. This is Jim Cantore, and I'm Cheryl Lemke. And it should be kind of a sweetheart of a day for most of the country. Weather-wise, it's pretty quiet out there, but one exception, the Northeast, still seeing some pretty cold, blustery weather and some snowy conditions, too, on this Valentine's Day.
Yeah, well, I guess that means one thing, Cheryl. You're just going to have to snuggle with your sweetheart just a little bit more.
Oh, that'd be quite appropriate,
How
wouldn't
about
it?
that? I can't believe I forgot my red today.
And I forgot to wear my little heart pin, so...
And Bruce has got this tie on. It must be about 30 years old. I mean, this thing is thin, and I mean, it's...
An oldie but a goodie,
An
right?
oldie but a goodie. It's got little hearts on it, so it's really sweet. Anyway, we got the little Valentine present I want to show you here this morning. Let's take a look at it. Thanks, Cheryl. Happy Valentine's Day to you folks. Don't forget about the sweetheart. When my wife gets up this morning, she's going to find a nice new tennis racket, not under the tree, but I guess under the candy. Check this out. My good buddy Don Kemp, excuse me. You can tell why I'm saying Don Kent if you're from New England. You know what I'm talking about. From Newmarket, New Hampshire, took a picture here of the radar as it was at 35,000 feet over Denver on the way to Phoenix. And if you look at the radar down here, you will notice that we have kind of a heart-shaped thunderstorm. Isn't that kind of neat? Huh? Just for you folks here on Valentine's Day. Let's go to the vapor, and we'll show you what's going on out there. Cheryl mentioned the cold and blustery weather over New England. Well, you can see that Arctic jet just sliding over the Northeast. Temperatures below zero this morning. Augusta about 16 below. Just a real chilly start to the day. But we will have, look at the ridge. The ridge is starting to poke up again off the west coast. You can see that happening right here. And that is going to send yet more cold air down. I mean, look at these jets. They're coming right over Canada and down into the States. So this is going to bring colder air in as we go over the next several days. And what's going to happen is this part of the southern branch is going to weaken, and this will allow this trough to develop. And I'm telling you, it's going to get a lot colder once again in the east. I mean, this is not going to be like the outbreak we had. I will tell you that right now. But it will be colder by far than what we've been seeing in the east. And here you can see right to the north of that jet, this cold air which is pooled to the north of it. And we're going to tap off and break off a piece of this chunk and bring it on down the pike as we go on in time. So as we get closer in, you can see the first disturbance rushing through with an area of snow around Philadelphia this morning. Cleveland, Pittsburgh is snowing. And then the next one is bringing another area of light snow here, Bismarck and Fargo, and down towards St. Louis, but a lot of that isn't even reaching the ground. 41 degrees in St. Louis, 28 in Chicago, 33 in New York. So we're not doing too bad. Right now, again, just the Northeast, just extreme New England, dealing with the coldest of the air here as we work our way on in time. So, I mean, this isn't really too bad. Here's the low pressure, and really the front is actually the line for the colder air to the north and the warmer air on down to the south, and we will slowly transition in time this colder air southward, and you'll see that on the forecast for Cheryl coming up. As we take a look at the radar, disturbance number 1, disturbance number 2, disturbance number 3, they're all kind of lining up here to continue to carve out this trough and obviously produce some problems in the way of colder air coming in. Here's the snow trying to develop over New York City, Poughkeepsie. This area will see an area of light snow pushing on up, and in some cases a few inches of snow on the way here. To the west, a few snow bands coming over the lakes. We have some heavier snow around Cleveland, again, the northeastern part of Ohio, as all this just continues to traverse on off toward the east. And with the winds changing, don't expect any of these bands to stick around for a while. I mean, really, things are changing too quickly up here to pick up significant snow. But you can see some of these feeder bands, especially northeast of Cleveland this morning, and that means some heavier snow for your drive in along Interstate 90. Well, we're trying to break out some rain and some snow up and through here, but again, precipitation light. Moisture kind of got robbed from the first system here, so this one's going to have to either kind of fish out or wait for this next disturbance to come on down, which has got its own moisture with it. And you can see our area of light snow, which we are dealing with, from Bismarck to Fargo on down and through Watertown, and all this is heading due southeast. How much is going to fall in through here? Well, not a lot back in through the plains, but enough for a few travel headaches, especially in New England. But some great skiing in New England. We'll talk about that in just a moment. More details on your forecast. Let's go to Cheryl.
Well, our forecast has been fairly persistent the last couple of days. We're kind of stuck in a rut. A strong northwesterly flow coming in across the upper Midwest and skirting over towards the eastern seaboard. With that northwesterly flow, one disturbance after another coming on board. And these are disturbances like we'd like to refer to as Alberta clippers. They originate up into Canada, and they quickly get caught up in the jet stream and zip towards the east. And because they are fast-moving systems with very little moisture to actually work with, typically they don't drop a whole lot of snowfall, but it is kind of a reminder that it's still the winter season. So for today, a little coating of snow across the nation's heartland, and more scattered snows too breaking out across the Great Lakes, the upper Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast. Now in some cases, we will see some appreciable snows today, especially over southern New
and a teenage daughter.
I-95 in Delaware County, all lanes blocked because of an accident northbound 95 near Highland Avenue. On the Pennsylvania Turnpike, expect delays around an earlier accident. This one was westbound between exits 28 and 27. Center lane blocked there. In Concord Township, Delaware County, expect delays around an earlier accident. Route 1 southbound near Schoolhouse Lane. New Jersey Turnpike, speed limit 45 miles an hour. Also a trailer ban in effect. Again, 45 mile an hour speed limit on the New Jersey Turnpike with a trailer ban in effect. The big problem right now is I-95, Delaware County, all lanes blocked northbound near Highland.
It just doesn't look like that much, but a little slipping and it can cause a chain reaction.
Snow, but it's nasty, yeah.
All right, thanks again, David. Checking sports, the 76.
This snow that we're having here to arrive there sometime this afternoon, maybe cause some flight delays. Cold day in Boston, 25 degrees. In Chicago, you have mostly cloudy skies. They may pick up a little bit of icy rain this morning. 35 degrees, the high in Chicago today. In Pittsburgh, or New York City rather, some morning snow with some flight delays possible during the morning hours. 34 degrees, the high temperature. Pittsburgh, some leftover flurries this morning, maybe some flight delays, but they should have a decent part of a day later on. 40 degrees, the high temperature with breaks for sunshine. Washington, D.C., morning flurries, maybe some morning flight delays, 42 degrees. We have light snow here this morning. We'll top out at about 40, and we'll also have some breaks for sunshine.
Okay. 619.
We are on Channel 6 now. This is the truck overturned since about 11:20 last night here. This is the off-ramp from I-76 West onto 202 North. This was a potential problem because we had word that they might be offloading the load of tobacco from this truck and trying to right it, which would mean closing the ramp, but that hasn't happened so far. And the ramp remains open. We'll keep you posted on it, but it would appear as though they're going to hold off on this activity until after the rush hour, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea. The other story of the roads. Main roads that PennDOT has been able to pre-treat prior to this snow are looking pretty good right now. Basically just wet. This is the off-ramp from 202 North onto I-76 West. This ramp, I-76 West, the Blue Route, all these main roads looking pretty good. Basically just wet right now. Some of the secondary roads have a little bit of snow on top of them, so be careful there. David Murphy live with the Action Cam, King of Prussia.
All right, David, thank you. Now it's time to check our Action News calendar for you.
Snowing lightly down there, maybe even moderately, you might call it. 31 degrees, our present temperature. 96% is the relative humidity. Barometer 29.54 inches. It's falling. South wind at 10 miles an hour, and 17 degrees is the wind chill. Catalog, Rick. Catalog. The exclusive AccuWeather 5-day forecast. Snow for a while, just through the morning hours, and then some sunshine breaking out. And actually, not a bad afternoon. High around 40 degrees, but mostly cloudy skies. Come back in tonight, 28 the low. 35 for tomorrow and Friday. Both days, the chance of a little light snow. On Saturday, colder air comes in. Wind picks up 27. Same story on Sunday, windy and cold 27. Maybe some more flurries. Next chance of any significant snowfall. Looks like it's late Monday or sometime later on Monday into Tuesday, but that one's way out there. All right, let's check the AccuWeather Almanac. It is...
It's February 14th.
Cold air cumulus clouds. So indeed, it does indicate some pretty nippy Arctic air that continues to bleed in across the upper Midwest, that cold air draining and pouring back over towards the Atlantic Ocean. Now, certainly with all this cold air readily in place, it will be cold enough to help support some snow. And indeed, we're looking at some snowy, wintry conditions across the Northeast, and more snows too developing across the nation's heartland. But farther towards the west, it's been very, very quiet. We're still under this big ridge of high pressure that controls the western third of the country. And with that ridge, we've had a string of very, very warm days. Lots of record highs were again set yesterday. In fact, over a dozen record highs were set from Washington, Oregon, Montana, Wyoming, all the way back towards California. So yesterday turned out to be a fairly toasty day across the west. And the reason for that is because of the high pressure. High pressure does two things. First of all, with the high pressure, you have abundant sunshine. Secondly, though, with high pressure, there's a sinking motion taking place in the atmosphere. And as the air sinks and descends, it compresses. So you have compressional warming along with the sunshine, and that results in some very warm temperatures over the western half of the country. This is what it looks like from our surface map. Again, high pressure rules the roost across the west. Here's our next disturbance, though, sliding in across the Great Lakes area. This is what we call an Alberta clipper. It originates up into Canada. It quickly gets caught up in the jet stream. Then it rockets towards the east. And because typically these are fast-moving systems, they usually don't have a whole lot of moisture to work with, and therefore snowfall amounts will stay fairly light. And that's going to be the case today. Typically about an inch or two of snow for the upper Midwest. Some scattered snows, too, back over across New England. Snow advisories have been posted today for the New York City metro area. Again, there could be an inch or two by later tonight, but I think somewhat heavier snows might be accumulating across the Alleghenies and across maybe the Mohawk Valley, even over towards southern New England. Here, too, snow advisories have been posted, but I think as you head over towards Boston, there could be as much as 3, 4, maybe even upwards to 5 inches of snow come later tonight. So, indeed, kind of wintry across the Northeast, where the snowflakes are flying this morning. Detroit, Mount Clemens, Pontiac, Michigan. Scattered snows, too, around the Cleveland metro area, including Shaker Heights and Pepper Pike. More snows, too, around Pittsburgh and Johnstown, Latrobe. Williamsport reporting some light snow. More snows, too, as we head northward across the Finger Lakes, snowing on into Rome and Utica and Syracuse, New York. And then we've had a burst of moderate snow around the New York City metro area. Right now, snowing fairly good around the Islip area, and more snow southward over towards the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Then we pick up a
snowy spot of the day. A lot of the precipitation changed down over now to all snow and even into South Jersey here. And it's snowing pretty good right now across Long Island and up into southern New England. Let's go ahead and show you what we got on the radar this morning. And you can see where it's pretty heavy across the tri-state area, on up across West Hampton. You can see White Plains here, some moderate snow coming on down. And another burst here coming up across the Delmarva into South Jersey. So you folks heading east to Philadelphia toward Atlantic City, you're going to run into some of this heavier wet snow down through here. Temperatures around 33, 34 degrees. And we think this is where we're going to start to line up some of the heavier snow, too. So get ready. Looks like rush hour goes downhill from here. Not too bad this morning in Boston, and this afternoon, though, a whole different story. And we'll see that snow just continue to head up on in toward Maine. Back toward the west, here comes another streak of snow, mainly on the light side, rain to the south where temperatures are warmer. A complete update on this storm and what's to come with an Arctic chill this weekend at the top of the hour with Bruce and Mark.